some sort of shitty fanfiction.
And this time, no dragon escaped.
Thanks to Tosh.
That's why we recruited her.
Actually, Tosh uses them for themselves now.
They asked us to let folks know, so now you do.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Thank you for telling me. That's why we recruited them.
Now, Dragon Age Veilguard being the more recent example of this. Now, sure, out of context, this scene is incredibly stupidly written, but even within the context, I struggle to give a shit about the character, due to just how poorly explained and presented their struggle is. Also, I've heard from fans of Dragon Age series mention that well, the game series, when it first came out, it was very brutal and grown up, meaning sexy and dark themes. But with each sequel, it seemingly got dumbed down and more risque parts being softened up, until the infamous scene we got here.
So, I'm non-binary.
Now, to contrast this, God of War series is a perfect example of maturing the story so well, making us care so much more about this testosterone brick called Kratos.
But this is the problem with Indiana Jones. I don't want these characters to grow. I don't give a fuck what you're going through at the studio. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. If you're going to build a brand new IP, or you're going to build a character into the God of War lore, and that character is struggling or dealing with your problems that a lot of you guys that have gotten older and girls at the studio have dealt with, that's wonderful. Do that shit all day long. But don't take the character Kratos or Indiana Jones and go, you know what? I'm Steven Spielberg. I'm older now, and I'm really into family, and I want to tell stories about fathers and sons and God. No, fuck you. That is not what this character is, whether it's Indy or whether it's the goddamn Kratos.
This Formica rufa wood ant queen has laid her first brood in a burrow near the sea. Her nest is just on the outskirts of the beach, the perfect vantage point for scavenging hapless morsels washed in by the tide. At the moment, the tide is out, but it won't stay that way. The ants must make haste and stockpile what they can, while they can. Unfortunately for this colony, the Queen's choice of home could not have been worse. This stretch of beach is peppered with burrowed tiger beetle larvae. They lie, jaws primed, with only their armored heads visible from the sand. Anything that stumbles into their pit is speared and dragged below. There is food to be found all over the beach, but the wood ants must be cautious and choose their trails carefully. Tiger beetles frequent the higher ground, and they will make quick work of any wood ant that strays too close.
There are other wood ants out here. They have also come to take advantage of the buffet provided by the sea. Territorial disputes will invariably favor the colony with the greater numbers.
The ants have been spotted by Cicindola hybrida, the northern dune tiger beetle. With its long, slender legs, it's the king of speed on these intertidal flats. Its wide, carving jaws will slice effortlessly through squads of wood ants. It's going to take a monumental unified effort to bring this beast down. The huge tiger beetle has been defeated. There are many more of them, but this is a milestone moment for the colony. They cannot be bullied by sheer size alone.
The tide is coming in. Soon the lower levels of the beach will be flooded. Any ants caught in the surge will be washed out to sea. The ants must fight. The water is rising quickly. The ants must head for higher ground.
The battle has begun. The tide has almost reached its highest point. The sands east of the nest are about to be completely flooded. There are intruders in the nest. The tide is in, and soon night will fall. As the temperature drops outside, nocturnal creatures begin to awaken. It would be wise for the Rufa colony to stay underground, and hope that their nest remains hidden until the morning. The workers have done all they can to improve these food stores. Overground, nocturnal hermit crabs rule over the sands at night. These creatures are typically scavengers, searching for algae and carrion on the beach. But due to the unusual incursion of Formica rufa colonies into this area, this particular community of crabs has developed a taste for ant flesh. A hermit crab has found its way into the nest. The ants must mount a swift and decisive defense. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. A group of hermit crabs have stormed the nest. The larvae must be protected.
There are intruders in the nest. There are intruders in the nest. There are intruders in the nest. More hermit crabs have found the nest. The tide is receding and a new day dawns. The hunters of the night return to the safety of the shadows, and the ants can begin to lay down new trails. The harvest must go on. A dead sardine has been washed up on the beach. This feast is too precious to pass up, but the smell will soon attract other scavengers. The ants will need to amass in great numbers to defend such a prize.
An ant has fallen victim to a beetle larva trap. They must watch their step. The voracious predators are difficult to see and lightning fast. More ants have been caught by tiger beetle larvae lying in wait. The beetle larvae hiding in their burrows are eating well. Every ant lost to them diminishes the colony. More ants have been caught by tiger beetle larvae lying in wait. The tide is coming in. Soon the lower levels of the beach will be flooded. Any ants caught in the surge will be washed out to sea. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. The water is rising quickly. The ants must head for higher ground.
Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. The tide has almost reached its highest point. The sands east of the nest are about to be completely flooded.
There is another creature roaming the sands tonight. Arctosa parita, the sand bear wolf spider. In the day, these spiders retreat to the shade provided by larger plants on the edge of the beach. But once the sun has gone, they are far more active and on the hunt for a midnight feast.
An ant has fallen victim to a beetle larva trap. They must watch their step. The voracious predators are difficult to see and lightning fast. A wolf spider has found the nest entrance. She is only small, but her venom will quickly incapacitate any ant that tries to fight alone. Another wolf spider has entered the nest. This one is large, fast, and voracious. An ant has fallen victim to a beetle larva trap. They must watch their step. The voracious predators are difficult to see and lightning fast. more wolf spiders have found the nest. As the sun rises over a new day, the tide recedes. The nocturnal creatures return to the shadows, and once again, the harvest must continue. The beetle larvae hiding in their burrows are eating well. Every ant lost to them diminishes the colony. More ants have been caught by tiger beetle larvae lying in wait.
has fallen victim to a beetle lava trap. They must watch their step. The voracious predators are difficult to see and lightning fast. More ants have been caught by tiger beetle larvae, lying in wait. An ant has fallen victim to a beetle lava trap. They must watch their step. The voracious predators are difficult to see and lightning fast. More ants have been caught by tiger beetle larvae, lying in wait. The tide is coming in. Soon the lower levels of the beach will be flooded. Any ants caught in the surge will be washed out to sea.
The water is rising quickly. The ants must head for higher ground. The tide has almost reached its highest point. The sands east of the nest are about to be completely flooded. The tide is in, and soon night will fall. As the temperature drops outside, nocturnal creatures begin to awaken. It would be wise for the Rufa colony to stay underground, and hope that their nest remains hidden until the morning. A wolf spider has found the nest. More hermit crabs have found the nest. A huge wolf spider has found the colony. This one is a mother, and her recently hatched brood have followed her into the nest. These ants are facing an overwhelming infestation. As the ants grow in number, the local predators pose less and less of a danger. Eventually they will be displaced from this area entirely. Despite the dangers of the beach, it seems this intrepid queen's gamble to establish her colony here has ultimately secured her success.
Crumbs everywhere. Who's been bringing food into the lab?
This Solenopsis invicta fire ant queen has landed on the edge of a swamp. She may be far from her native habitat, but the fire ants are well known for their ability to adapt. Competition for food will be fierce. She will need to raise an army quickly to compete with the local predators. The colony lies in the shadow of a great titan to the north, an American bullfrog. This large female has found the perfect spot to feed. Sheltered by foliage and in the path of many wandering insects and smaller amphibians, she has no reason to move on. Eventually she will need to be displaced, but for now, the fire ants have more pressing business to attend to. The boggy soil surrounding the nest is lacking in nitrogen and phosphorus, nutrients vital for plants to photosynthesize and grow. To survive in this environment, some have evolved to supplement their mineral diet by trapping and dissolving invertebrate prey. Many of the milkweed plants growing nearby are infested with aphids. Their honeydew excretions present an ideal, energy-rich food source for the fire ants. Aphids far from the nest are vulnerable, however, and are sometimes relocated closer to home where they can be better protected from predators and thieves. The ponds surrounding the nest are perfect hunting grounds for fishing spiders. They have keen eyesight and can skip across the water to quickly chase down unsuspecting prey wandering too close to the edge. A small colony of Phaedulae maurici big-headed ants have established themselves on a hill to the west. Scavenging for seeds, aphids, and dead insects, they are unlikely to pose a threat to the Invicta colony, if left undisturbed. The ants have uncovered a group of hungry checkered beetle larvae. The soft grubs may look defenseless, but they have big jaws and appetites to match. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. There are intruders in the nest. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. A fully developed checkered beetle, Enoclerus rosmarus, has been disturbed by the ants. It has the same ravenous appetite and slicing jaws as its juvenile counterpart, but now paired with thick armor plates, it represents a far greater danger to the colony. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected.
As the sun sets, the local amphibians begin to emerge from moist crevices near the water's edge. Lone invertebrates will be picked off quickly. The ants should travel in numbers or not at all. A bombardier beetle, Brachinus alternans, is hunting for insects outside the nest. It may seem unwise for it to wander so freely amongst the large amphibians that share the swamp at night, but they would do well to leave it alone. This beetle is a master of chemical warfare. At night, eastern narrow-mouthed toads patrol above ground looking for food. Ants make up 75% of their diet, so the small colony must stay alert. To make matters worse, they are excellent diggers. It's only a matter of time before one tunnels its way into the nest. A narrow-mouthed toad has burrowed into the nest. It may be small for a toad, but its appetite for ants is insatiable. Secretions from its skin burn any that manage to escape its projectile tongue.
The colony is starving. There's not enough food to feed the new brood.
Dawn breaks, and the salamanders and toads retire to their damp alcoves to wait out the sun. Only the great bullfrog remains. She sits patiently on her throne, waiting for the next meal to wander by. Even in small numbers, the fire ants are menacing, but in large numbers, they are virtually unstoppable.
The ants must fight.
A magnolia green jumping spider, Lysoman viridis, has ambushed a fire ant. It prefers to hunt on foliage, where it is less likely to be spotted by predators and prey alike. Out on the ground, it's more vulnerable, but that won't stop it from snacking on lone ants far from the safety of the nest. A six-spotted tiger beetle, Cicindela sexcutata, is on the move near the nest. Its metallic green elytra make it unmistakable, and like its other tiger beetle cousins, long legs give it the speed to chase down small arthropods with ease. A wasp-mantid fly, Climachala brunea, has descended from her perch into the path of the ants. Unrelated to true mantids, her spiked raptorial forelegs are a perfect example of convergent evolution. Dolomedes triton, the six-spotted fishing spider, has been observing the fire ants. Noticing that the majority of the group are engaged in pontoon construction, she skims to the water's edge to pick off workers one by one.
colony is starving. There's not enough food to feed the new brood. By linking themselves together, the fire ants have formed a pontoon out of their own bodies. It stretches from their home territory to a previously unreachable island, giving them access to new sources of food. The ants have set upon a green lynx spider, Puchetia viridans. She prefers to hunt on pitcher plants, but out in the open, she loses her advantage. Far from defenseless, however, when threatened she can spit venom up to 30 centimeters from her fangs. The battle has begun. Defenseless caterpillars exposed on the underside of leaves are a welcome snack for the passing fire ants.
The colony should take advantage while it can. Few meals surrender so willingly. A curious ant has ventured onto a Venus flytrap in search of nectar. If it brushes against the hairs on the open, red-tinged leaves, they will snap shut, encasing the ant in an ever-tightening cell. There is no escape. The prisoner will be slowly digested until nothing more than a husk remains.
The ants must defend themselves.
Once again, dusk sets in over the swamp. Soon, the sandy undergrowth will be teeming with salamanders, toads, and nocturnal beetles. Bridge construction has been halted by fishing spiders. An ant has been devoured by Aeorichea quadradicitata, a dwarf salamander. It is nimble, fast, and slender enough to wiggle through tight crevices in search of food.
Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. The ants will fight to the death. There are intruders in the nest.
The ants have clashed with a bombardier beetle. Feeling threatened, the beetle mixes a cocktail of chemicals that react together, boil, and explode from a valve at the base of its abdomen. The fire ants and big-headed ants have met in their first skirmish. Sensing the new danger, the Morisi colony responds by awakening ancestral super soldier genes in selected brood, feeding them until their heads are engorged with muscle. For the swamp amphibians, the nighttime feast is over. Toads give way to tiger beetles, and the ant colonies step up their activities. If the fire ants are to stand any chance of establishing a long-lasting empire, they must grow quickly. There is no time to waste. The ants have been attracted to secretions of nectar produced by a yellow pitcher plant. In order to feed, however, the ants must position themselves precariously over a deep vat of digestive liquid. Waxy deposits on the rim ensure that any ant that steps too far in won't be stepping out again. The Morisi colony has fallen, their champions spent, and their queen vanquished. In the end, they could not stand up to the might of the Invicta army. The fire ants have encountered a tribe of Monomorium minimum black ants. These tiny little ants may seem feeble, but the Invicta colony would do well to treat them with caution. Although primarily scavengers, they are armed with powerful chemical secretions and have been known on occasion to invade fire ant nests. A wingless parasitic wasp, Dasimutilla occidentalis, more commonly known as the red velvet ant, has wandered into Invicta territory. Although not on the hunt for fire ants, it will defend itself if threatened. Armed with an extremely powerful sting and displaying bright warning stripes, most creatures give it a wide berth.
The ants must fight.
The Monomoria minimum colony is almost defeated. The Invictor army must press their advantage. The little black ants fought to the last to defend their queen. Now the Invictor colony will enjoy the spoils of war. Defenseless larvae from the vanquished colony will be carried home and fed to the victor's own hungry brood. Night approaches, and the predators of the day give way to their nocturnal counterparts. As they encroach on colony territory, battles must be chosen wisely. Spread too thin, the fire ants could find themselves quickly overwhelmed.
The ants must defend themselves. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. Predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. predators are loose in the nest. The larvae must be protected. Staving off another night of attacks, the Invicta colony once again proves its strength. Despite this victory, there is yet one obstacle that stands in its way. Ever present, the bullfrog looms over the ants. The beast must be defeated. The ants must defend themselves.
Okay, I just stop.
This is where I completely disagree with the original game designer / director. This is how you make people give a shit about your character, actually exploring their feelings. Well, even if it is done through grunting. You know, show don't tell. Not just abrupt, awkward, and uncomfortable writing of
It isn't a blighted dragon's lair.
Fair point.
Okay, bye.
Though I railed against Veilguard here, it's just an example of clunky, stiff, and all-round weak writing that does not draw you into the character's story. And sure, you can dismiss this as, oh, well, it's just a side character, side romance. Well, in that case, we can perfectly contrast this between Baldur's Gate 3 characters as well. But at this point, it'd be like beating a dead horse with a golden baseball bat. The point being, this incompetent writing mainly comes in two forms. One is fanfiction, long-winded overwriting, and the failure to condense the story. Well, much like most of my scripts, but anyways. And the second one is injected narrative, that is made to pander to a certain demographic without actually exploring it. Either case, both are met with additional failure to connect with the audience and present themselves well. Remember, there is still a reason why Mass Effect games, well, at least the first two ones, are still remembered so vividly, even when their gameplay was hot garbage. But let's say, like Call of Duty or Payday, you have very polished gameplay that actually is kind of fun. How could you fuck it up then? Well, of course, by using live service. Suicide Squad being the poster child of the soulless garbage pumped out by an overinflated AAA studio. This game was dead on arrival for every reason we explored thus far, but the biggest sin that led to soulless gameplay and nothing burger story was the corporate greed to milk their potential customers as much as humanly possible. This always online chokehold with seasonal battle passes and microtransactions nickel and diming the customer with barely enough interesting rather than fun gameplay until the next batch of digital slop gets dumped out is what live service is all about. Every big game company is salivating to get their hands on a perpetual money machine that very few live services turned out to be, most notably Destiny. Now, when Payday 3 was announced, even with the turbulent development, the fanbase was incredibly excited for the sequel. However, the Payday 2 was playable offline. So, what do you think happened when the fanbase was greeted by the mandatory always online requirement for the third game? Well, it was a universal fuck no! As a matter of fact, I actually covered both the failure of this game as well as the success of the second game, so go check out if you need more information about it. But to date, Payday 3 still sits below 1,000 average players compared to several tens of thousands for Payday 2. There honestly is no clearer cut picture than this. Even now, over a year after the release and several updates later, the game is fucking dead. That's how much the Payday's community hated being forced onto always online servers, for a game that had really no fucking reason to be. And this is not a one-off story either. Redfall, yeah, this game's even more dead, you could call it cadaverific. A 4-player co-op game that was, well, basically Left 4 Dead, but with vampires and looter-shooter mechanics. Do you think it needed to be always online and connected to servers, let alone ones operated by Bethesda? Oh! Fuck you! Fuck you, Bethesda, and fuck you, ArcNet, and fuck you, Arcane! But here you go. Yeah, let's just make sure you can't pirate the game, blah blah blah. And most importantly, you always get advertised our new drop slop, blah. I mean DLC, microtransactions and battle passes, blah. There is no escape, idiot, blah. Now yeah, you could say that this was just Bethesda forcing poor Arcane Austin Studio to make this. But you know what you should definitely blame them for? Closing the studio and leaving the game in an unfinished, broken state while refunding only the DLC for the game. Well, hey, at least Concord did the right thing and refunded everything. However, talk about missing forest for the trees. They tried to make a hero shooter in an age where the genre is oversaturated to such a degree that it would make MMORPGs blush.
The ants must fight.
However, you could say that, well, hey, Marvel Rivals is basically a live service and a hero shooter as well. And that's hopping today. Yeah, well, this is where the other problem for Concord came. The utterly uninspired, talentless character design, most definitely impacted by a certain consultancy firms, turned whatever could be an interesting design into an utterly generic and downright ugly designs. Less than a month. Yep, that's how long it lived. Or should I say, stillborn on a life support. All thanks to the sheer wish to break into the perpetual money machine that is the fraud of live service gaming. But what happens if it actually works out at first? Well, if you're learning from rivals, then a lot of developers get laid off. Or in the case of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 6, and shitification ensues. Modern Warfare 2 was actually a very nice experience with a genuinely rewarding unlock system and good variety of game modes and gameplay. At first. Now sure, the critic Yamix had its disagreements, but for the general public it was a good value for a spunk baby woo-woo game. As for Black Ops 6, the story was kinda shit, gameplay was no different, but the big selling point was the zombies, and I agree. Even right now, the zombies mode is great to play. And you know why? Because you don't get to see this. Is this really Call of Duty? Holy shit. Just through sheer nickel and diming, the nonsensical and often incredibly idiotic tie-ins, shitty looking skins or battle passes for more shitty skins, Activision managed to completely ruin even the few good things left. And then no wonder on Steam when you see the game closing in on the negative
The ants
overall.
must fight.
The term and shitification perfectly describes this. The same problem plagues all the Call of Duty games ever since Modern Warfare 2. It releases, yeah, it's a live service game, but it's kind of fun. Then skip a few months after the release and you're swimming through the pure visual trash like you're taking a plunge in Ganges River. This is eventually what happens to every live service game. Some do it less, sure, but the stink of corporate greed is always there. Ruination of the game's original art style, nickel and diming you for cheaply made cosmetics or worse, pay to win shit like viable XP boosters that help you save time. And let's not forget that you need to access their servers in the first place to play, even if it makes no fucking sense like playing zombies alone or playing campaign. Oh, and of course, let's not think about what happens when the servers are closed one day. Oh, guess what? The game is fucking dead! Now go support Stop Killing Games. And the final nail in the modern games is the jumble of little things that can be generalized under a term development issues. Crunch periods that led to developer churn and lack of creativity, half-baked gameplay releases early in the broken state, failed or unfinished optimization causing extremely bad performance, missing content or outright scams that best could be called marketing misleading overpromised stuff for the game that never was. Now Anthem, yeah, remember that one,
As the sun
embodies all of
sets,
this,
the
but
local
it was released in
amphibians begin to
2019, so
emerge
it
from
wasn't
moist
exactly 3
crevices
years
near
ago.
the water's edge.
Redfall, however,
Lone invertebrates will be
was
picked off quickly.
literally broken,
The ants
missing
should
content
travel
and
in
sold them,
numbers,
well,
or
basically
not at all.
lies. This is an embodiment of pure shit. And what about Kerbal Space Program 2? Died even before leaving early access. Yet somehow Skull and Bones was even more bizarre. Seemingly all of the Ubisoft global studios from America, Europe and Asia working on this thing, churning out what frankly would be an asset flip level trash claiming to be the first ever quadruple A game. Yeah, Yves Gilliam... God damn it. Yeah, Yves Gilliam, that quote will stick with us forever. The fucking game cost more than Concord, estimated $600 to $800 million. This garbage was the same league as the fucking Star Citizen. And say what you will about them, but at least they deliver some kind of mechanics and graphics, broken as unfinished as they are. But Skull and Bones, what the fuck happened? Well, the answer is a bit, fucky-ducky, if you will, but the bottom line is, in cases like Anthem, Skull and Bones, Redfall, and other so-called big-budget games that fail like this, the projects ultimately are mishandled and mismanaged very hard. And you know, it's kind of funny, I asked a few friends the same question we're discussing today, and some of them brought up the possibility that these massive game companies, instead of hiring capable developers, designers, artists, and writers, despite the massive budgets, opt to hire mediocre and downright incompetent, let alone diversity hires, to do the job. And again, Pikachu face when no one actually has done anything worthwhile, and your pirate or vampire game plays like an average asset flip, just with better graphics. Now, sure, I mentioned such bizarre anomalies like Gollum being a devil spawn abomination of a game that for some reason was even made in the first place, and frankly speaking, it's still surreal that it was greenlit in the first place. And sure, once in a while you got actual scams like the day before that I also covered for the series, but they're more of
Predators
a
are
joke
loose in the
than a
nest.
representation
The
of
larvae
real
must be protected.
failures. And there you have it, 4 main reasons in my mind why mainstream AAA games are a massive failure. But there is more, of course. Still, I guess the lesson of the day is that you can have a great game with no story, just with fun and great gameplay. Or you can have a great game that is almost entirely carried by the
Predators are loose in the
story,
nest.
as long as it's
The larvae
interesting
must
and
be
connects with
protected.
the player. Hell, you don't even need to be great at both. Having just good and captivating gameplay will tend to succeed, but try to be a greedy bastard and shove a live service along with the shitty monetization in your game and you're sure to fail. In fact, if there is one lesson at the end, you have to actively try to be shit to make a bad game. But hey, what do you think? Did I miss any failures? Do let me know down below. And
The fire ants have mounted their first attack upon the great American bullfrog Litabates scatesbianus. The brave frontline soldiers are quickly crushed and eaten. They must surround and swarm the enormous creature to stand any chance of defeating it. Dawn breaks, and the salamanders and toads retire to their damp alcoves to wait out the sun. Only the great bullfrog remains. She sits patiently on her throne, waiting for the next meal to wander by.
The colony is starving. There is not enough food to feed the new brood. The ants must defend themselves. Once again, the fire ants advance upon the great bullfrog. If they do not possess the numbers necessary to overwhelm the creature, this could be very costly for the colony. Again and again, soldiers clamp onto the bullfrog's leathery skin and inject their Solenopsis venom, but the beast shows no signs of wavering. The fire ants must maintain their resolve.
And speaking of that, what about the successes in recent times? Well, far fewer. There are
Overwhelmed with burning venom, the bullfrog finally succumbs to the might of the fire ants. Utterly spent, it collapses on the hillside, leaving the victors free to consume its body. Unbeknownst to the ants, the presence of the bullfrog was keeping many other local amphibians at bay. The power vacuum it left behind is attracting a host of salamanders and frogs eager to take its place. The ants should go to ground quickly and prepare for the imminent chaos.
As the anarchy above ground settles and with the invaders crushed, a new order is established. This is now the domain of the Fire Ant.
Ugh, crumbs everywhere. Who's been bringing food into the lab?
guess what I've got? It's been a long road, hasn't it, my Reptus? You've done so well. Everyone doubted your potential for selective assimilation. Everyone except for me, of course. We need only arouse the remaining mutation vectors and it will be complete. Imagine it. No host rejection, no secondary augmentations. Tonight we finish it. Tonight we conduct the final experiment. Everything is arranged. Perhaps not as clinical as certified company equipment, but we make do. Our fates are intertwined now, my little lads. Do not fail me. We'll program a simple linear sequence to begin with. Acid, laser, electrode, then fire. Don't be shy. You want the jelly, don't you? Look, a nice big blob on the surface. Come and get it. Tasted this before, have you, my Raptors? Pure, concentrated jelly. None of the other specimens survived exposure, so you'll be the first. Unless my hypothesis is wrong, in which case lethal neoplasms will spread through the colony. No one wants to see that. The acid is pressurized, the nozzle takes aim, the danger is clear, but the jelly's right here. Your move. How about some bombardier beetles? Now that you've faced down a jet of noxious super acid, these should be child's play. The laser is charged to 20 watts. Don't look into the beam. Oof, perhaps a little too powerful, or not powerful enough. All this noisy equipment must be quite intimidating. How about a familiar distraction? A handful of tiger beetles will do nicely. Yes, yes, it's working. The rate of adaptation has accelerated tenfold. Charging the capacitors. Startled if you hear a slight pop. Imagine while all this is going on if you had to share your terrarium with a collection of highly agitated spiders. Why, it would be absolute pandemonium. Whoops. extinguisher on standby for this one. Safety first. And that concludes the warm-up test. How was that? Feeling limber? Stretched? Hungry for more? Good. Next, we'll observe the effects of simultaneous exposure to multiple stimulants, programming in a distributed sequence. There. Good luck. Let's make the arena more interesting, shall we? What about a selection of angry mantises? That's interesting, isn't it? Perhaps the stimulation intensity should be increased. After all, our brave Ereptors have not come this far to be coddled. They expect stringent test conditions. We'll start by increasing the electrode discharge capacity. Let's expand the acid discharge stream next. Oh, and it looks like you're running out of mantises. Let me help you with that. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Exposure to 3 cycles of each stimulant complete. It would seem that full spectrum immunity has yet to develop. Do you know what that means, my little Ereptors? That's right, you're so clever. Inserting triplet stimulant combinations into the sequence. We just need to increase the power draw. No! Useless! Isolated cow! Where is it? Aha! I just need to prise it open. Let there be light. And then there was... this could complicate matters. One, 3, 6, 2... well, that's rude, isn't it? 1, 3, 6, 2... Change the alarm codes, have we? Well, how about these alarm codes? Wonderful! Perfect! Almost! Again! Not up! Thank you. Now, back to the matter at hand. I think it's about time we increased the laser power. And don't you? After all, that little fiasco won't have gone unnoticed. Oh, and I almost forgot to connect the feeder colonies. You remember those, don't you, my little reptile? What's left? Increasing the burner oxygen flow. Quickly now, we don't have much time. Perhaps more vents will help to heighten the urgency. already? Can you not give me a moment's peace? Well, there's no going back now. Programming in the final sequence. Oh, it comes with scorpions. I'd love to stay and play, but I need to go and buy us a little more time. Good thing I brought my dynamite. I'll put a little bit here, a little bit there, here, there, spread it all about. The door frame connected to the fuse bit, the fuse bit connected to the wire bit, yes, the wire bit connected to my foot bone. Oh, that can't be right.
Who's here? I knew it.
There's no way out. Put your hands up and step out into the corridor.
Oh, just in time.
I want them arrested now.
I think we should get back.
Fire in the hole.
Get back!
Ah, my little ants, look at you. Perfected. Oh, this is the end, I'm afraid. After all, we can't have those brainless parasites unraveling all of your secrets, can we? So, I hope you understand. It's not personal. There's just one final step. A once lethal catalyst for unbounded mutation, now tamed and molded through you, my Raptor host, and finally rectified for human consumption. Tonight, I imbibe the power of the colony. Ah, yes, I can feel it. It's working. What? We are the ultimate state of life. We? What did I say? Now this... wouldn't be happening. The power of the colony. The bonds. Of the colony.
My queen. I serve the will of the colony. At the behest of the colony. I serve the will of the colony. I serve the will of the colony. I serve the will of the colony. My queen must not be harmed. My queen must not be harmed.
Okay, brace there. Fires are out. We're making our way through to the lab now.
We must leave now, my queen. It is not safe here. We will go into the wild and feed so that you may birth the first elates. Securing the line of the Ereptor will need much sustenance.
Dear Lord, what is that?
No! What has he done? Get everyone out! Seal the doors!